Hi guys, welcome back to Active's World. So today I am going to speak about the order of draw of the tubes that we use in the lab, or the tubes that we use as a phlebotomist. Alright, so the order of draw is yellow, blue, red, green, lavender, and gray. But today I'm going to mostly speak about the lavender, gray, red, and blue. These are the only tubes I have. Alright, so these are the only tubes I have, by the way. The blue, red, lavender, and gray remains in the order of the same, even if I'm not using the yellow and the green. Alright, so stick around if you want to get more information about the tubes and what are the different types of tests that we use these tubes for. I'm going to go ahead and speak about that. Okay, remember to like this video, leave a comment, and also subscribe. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Okay, so light blue top tubes contain 3.2 sodium citrate, are primarily used for coagulation studies and specialized hematology tests that measure blood clotting time. Alright, so citrate is an anticoagulant which binds calcium in the blood. Calcium is required for blood clotting. For the light blue top tube, we invert the light blue top tube 3 to 4 times. Why? Because it's for good mixing. So it mixes sodium citrate for accurate clotting tests. Alright. Okay, so as I was saying, for the light blue top tube, we invert the light blue top tube 3 to 4 times to mix sodium citrate for accurate clotting tests. So in order to get a test that's accurate, we have to invert the tube correct. So we have to invert the tube 3 to 4 times. Alright, so as I was saying, to get accurate test results. Alright, so for the light blue top tube, we do have different types of tests, which are the PT, PTT, and the D dimer. Includes more tests, but we're going to go ahead and elaborate on the PT, PTT, and the D dimer. Okay, so D-dimer is used to rule out active blood clots such as DVT or PE. Alright, so DVT is deep vein thrombosis, and PT is pulmonary embolism. Alright, so for the DVT and the PE, I went ahead and I uploaded a picture so that you guys can get a better understanding of what is a PE and a DVT. Okay. Alright, so red top tube is used for various types of testing, such as serum testing, hormone testing, and the list goes on. Alright, so for the red top tube, it does not contain any additive. Why? Because no additive allow the blood to clot naturally. Red top tubes are often used for tests that need to be done quickly. For the red top tube, we don't invert red top tubes, okay? And this is it for the red top tube. We're going to move on to the purple top tube. Purple top tubes, also known as lavender top tube, contain EDTA as an anticoagulant. They are primarily used for hematology tests such as a complete blood count, CBC, which is a complete blood count, to prevent blood from clotting. Okay, so for a better understanding, for the lavender test tube, the additive is EDTA. So the tube is also available with an 8% liquid EDTA solution. EDTA binds calcium ions, blocking coagulation cascade. should be done within 6 hours after the blood collection. Alright, so let's get in details about hematology. I'm sorry. Alright, so hematology is concerned with the study of foreign elements of the blood. We have red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Alright, so for this tube, as I mentioned, one of the tests, which is a CBC, a complete blood count, and I'm going to go ahead and provide you with the next test, which is a sickle cell test, I think which everyone should know what's a sickle cell test or what is a sickle cell test. Yeah. All right. So there are more tests that surrounding around the purple top tubes, but I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it at the sickle cell with the sickle cell test and the CBC. All right. So for the purple top tube, we invert the purple top tube 8 to 10 times. As I mentioned with the light blue top tube, we invert 3 to 4 times, and the red top tube we don't invert because there is no additive. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the gray test tube. Alright, so gray top tube contains sodium fluoride. The combination allows preservation of glucose in blood samples for accurate glucose measurement. So the prevention of clotting, ensuring plasma or whole blood can be analyzed properly. Alright, so this tube is used clinical chemistry laboratories for fasting glucose tolerance tests, and also for blood alcohol testing. Right. Alright, so some of the common tests that you will see for the gray top tube, right, will be fasting blood test. You'll probably see the abbreviation for the words, right? So I'm going to give you both. So you have fasting blood glucose, sorry, and that's FBG, and you have oral glucose tolerance test, which is OGTT, and you have blood alcohol concentration, which is BAC. Okay, so for the gray top tube, we invert our gray top tube 8 to 10 times immediately after we receive our blood. So we invert the test tube 8 to 10 times. We mix the additive with the blood. So for the blue top tube, we invert our blue top tube 3 to 4 times immediately after we receive our blood. Red top tube we don't invert because there's no additive. So for the gray top tube, we invert 8 to 10 times. Okay, and we also invert our purple top tube. Only tube that we don't invert is our red top tube because there's no additive. And we have made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and also please remember to subscribe for more videos like these. Okay, bye.